Hello everyone and welcome back to the Brightworks and another match of Beyond All Reason, where today, spawning on the top right hand corner of Rosetta as our blue team leader is a Legion commander, a commander that goes by the name of the Seeker. The Seeker clocking into 25 open skill and silver chevrons here, going to be showing us what they've got. Whereas, spawning on the top left hand side over here for the red team, spawning in Cortex Red and going to be going into some of those good old-fashioned Cortex solar panels, it's going to be none other than Lacopa. Lacopa versus the Seeker on the top side of Rosetta. It's definitely an uphill battle right here for the red commander, so it definitely means we're in for a good one as we watch these mid to high level commanders battle it out right here. Certainly commanders with a lot of experience under their belt. But those OS numbers, I mean, man, it is hard to say, right? Once upon a time, I considered 30 OS to basically be pro level. Nowadays, it feels like it's maybe 40 or sometimes even 50 is kind of closer to where those big team OS pro level rankings kind of fall at. There's no hard and set value right there. But I am always curious what you guys think about that as well. Obviously, the Chevron play a part in that as well. But yeah, certainly suffice it to say, the OS numbers keep getting higher each and every day, and I guess that just means Beyond a Reason is getting higher and higher skill ceiling. Or maybe it just means more and more players are joining. Either way, it's kind of a good thing here, but I am excited to check out some Legion gameplay as well. It feels like almost every day now, I'm able to find a Legion game happening somewhere on the rotation here, where we managed to see at least a couple of commanders trying out Legion in an 8v8 game, and with ranking turned on, actually, which, you know, must be a huge testament to the work that the Legion team has done to make it fair enough that people are willing to put their ranks on the line playing with Legion. I certainly have a lot of fun. Pretty much the only thing I'll play nowadays. As we see this magnificent red grunt making its way across with its brilliant shining red eyeballs and its little laser backpack marching its way towards the enemy front line. We have a grave robber keeping pace here as well, and that's ultimately what this grunt is actually meant to do, is protect this grave robber while it goes out on the map and, well, rob some graves, actually. Yeah, it's meant to go steal a bunch of these rocks from the enemy here. We're probably going to be sending this across the map to try and eat up some of the material on the enemy side before they get a chance to. A couple of goblins, likewise, are sent across here from the blue commander. Maybe we'll be able to spot this. I don't think so. Like ships in the night, they sail right on past each other. And it does look like the grave robber will make it all the way to the enemy side of the map here to eat up all these rocks. Will we be able to defend? We do have one of these weird-looking resbots here for the Legion faction. All four legs of that resbot here going to be, ooh, gunned down. Yep, the grunt finds it. Okay. An excellent way to start this match right here. The blue commander does manage to gun down one of those grave robbers, or what are they called? Zagreus. That's going to be a hard one to remember. The Zagreus here for the Legion commander does go down. Some ticks, pardon me, some rascals making it into the backline here as well. Okay. Good old-fashioned Cortex scout trucks, scout vehicles? Scout rovers, I guess is kind of, well, no, but there's a unit called the rover. What is their classification? Scout vehicle. Okay. Out of the vehicle lab comes the scout vehicle. I guess that does, you know, that makes sense. Put one and one together and you get two. Rosetta. What a funky map here. We do, oh, interestingly, we do have a Legion commander spawning on the 10 metal per second metal spot here. One of the weird things about Legion is their metal extractors produce 20% less resources, or 80% total resources, that normal metal extractors do produce, and so it means that nobody's here is actually only producing 8 metal per second instead of the full 10 from this metal extractor. You know, I wouldn't even mind seeing a constructor from one of his teammates moving its way on over just to upgrade this metal extractor. It's nice that produces energy, but they all produce the same energy, right? So in this case, he loses 2 metal per second, but it would still produce 7 energy if he, say, lost, you know, 1 metal per second or 0.1 metal per second. No matter what it is, you always produce the same amount of energy. So this is a huge loss for relatively zero gain, is kind of a bummer. Despite that thing spinning turbo fast, by the way. I don't know, that looks like it should generate way more than 7 energy per second. I'm just saying. Anyway, wow. Nobody's caught completely without power. Oh, no. Oh, this is a huge surround. Just catching the Maroon Commander before there's actually energy for D-Guns. Oh, does Cyan realize it? He must. Yeah, he senses that this commander is actually weak right now. D-Gun flies out. There's just not enough in the tank. Oh, that's an early commander kill right there. A huge loss for the Maroon Commander, as all of a sudden, completely and critically energy stalled. There's nothing in the tank to D-Gun down those units. And man, that is a really, really rough start. We are going to reclaim. Well, okay, we're thinking about it. This is so tough. The Maroon Commander needs so many things right now. We need build power to put units on the line. We need energy production here to actually, well, build those units, and we need to reclaim this corpse. If the enemy gets this corpse, it may as well be GG for the midsection of this map. Luckily, though, it looks like the explosion killed basically all the units right now from Witcher 13, who is also critically energy starved. Wind speed, not tremendous on this map, so a lot of commanders are going to opt for those good old-fashioned solar panels here. I don't mind it, of course. Yeah, low wind speed like this, those wind turbines are definitely difficult to have an efficient trade with. I think we need more solar panels here. Yeah, Witcher is thinking about it, you can tell. Oh, not going to go eat up the metal from those rocks. Not a bad idea either. Now we have 2,000 metal in the bank. What is the plan right here for the Maroon Commander? Did we just send all that metal? Wait, what just happened to all the metal in the bank right now? Okay, well, either way, man, the aggression is high here for the blue team. I love it. Constructor will go down. That's an excellent snipe for all these pawns right here. They could just retreat, and they've already have gotten their value. Looks like that will be the play right here. A couple of Alaris trying to hunt those down and do what they can. The Alaris are the light tank here, or the lightest tank for the Legion faction. Legion has kind of 3 tiers of tank. They have like an ultralight tank, a light tank, and then a medium tank. Actually, they kind of don't have a medium tank. They really have a heavy tank and then 2 types of light tanks. The Alaris being the lighter of the 2, the Helios being the slightly sturdier, slightly longer range, slightly higher damage version. It means that Legion and Vehicle Labs specifically has to be really conscientious about the compositions they go for. It really matters a lot for Legion what comp you go for and how many of each unit that you do build. Rocketbots here harassing down the LLTs right now for Luderic, the Green Commander. Yeah, Rocketeer is not going to struggle too much against any of this, of course. One of those reasons why you need the maces early on is just to stand the edge of the tower effective radius and harass back those rocket bots. If you have the units to harass back the enemy's rocket bots, your LLTs will stay up and standing. If your LLTs fall, though, you can find yourself prone to run by, and that's certainly the situation that the Green Commander is finding themselves in, completely surrounded by a whole plethora of forces here. We've got maces on the front with Rocketeers in the back to hold up on all this, and my goodness, the aggression has been stellar. Well, would you look at that? Early Phobos running by and killing all the metal extractors here for the Tan Commander. This is a hard line to hold on its own, let alone if the backline player and the frontline player are both contributing. Yeah, look at that. Blue Commander going into a bunch of energy production with those advanced solar panels, those very expensive but also very productive energy production structures here for Legion. They're 480 metal apiece, but also produce 100 energy apiece, so extreme energy production there. And pumping out units and putting them on the front line. We do have T2 out now, and these fiends would definitely make short work of, well, everything on this front here. The Ballista, the Goblins, even the Satyr, aka the Lobber. None of which particularly effective against fiends. I would say if I had to choose a unit to go up against the fiends, Karkinos would probably be the best bet. Although they're just so slow that fiends can just run around them. You need enough to completely saturate your front line in order to really effectively trade out there, and definitely don't have such case here. The Seeker trying to scale up on the front line here while also scaling that E-conversion or E-production in the back line. We do also have the Overcharge mechs, which is quite nice, producing double resources here, so you can see those are producing about 6 metal per second, which is quite nice. It allows you a very early lead in the game if you can get 1 or 2 of those up and running. It scales very quickly, right? They can pay not only for themselves, but then for the next one, right, that comes after them. And if you have a nice source of energy like a geothermal, you really don't have to worry about the energy cost offset for these as badly as you normally do. Tons of solar panels here as well. I think the Blue Commander is kind of just thinking to overflow a bunch of energy right now. We are way overproducing energy. Maybe the idea here is to go for more of those overcharge mechs, though. On the 3.0s, it makes a lot of sense. On the 1.0s and 2.0s, a little bit harder to justify for sure. Big old clash going on in the midsection here. It's good old-fashioned laser tanks moving forward. Light laser tanks, to be specific here. For the Yellow Commander, we have a couple of those missile trucks flashing their rocketry out of and well into the face here of the Lavender Commander as all of a sudden, oh yeah, everything is dead on the front line. All the rocket bots go down, or most of the rocket bots anyways. We also have those anti-air trucks shooting down the fighters, which is very nice. A subtle but very potent effect, because as those fighters go down, it's quite easy, of course, for the air fighter to follow this up with a little bit of bombing. And on a map where, for instance, a single metal extractor can be the difference between a player having an economy and not, bombing can be extremely powerful. Missile trucks also very useful for clearing away those shuriken. Lovely stuff right here. Medium tanks will eventually come out of stasis and start firing again once more. The Blitz trying to clean a bunch of this up. They do kill those Lasher, which means shuriken become viable once again. It's a rapid back and forth turn right here, but the Purple Commander doesn't have enough shuriken to paralyze all of this. Strider here, going to be cleaning up the very rest of it. Okay. Blue Army is forced back. We do have the T2 laboratory up and running. I wouldn't mind a T2 static defense up on the front here. The Bombardier is quite effective at range. It can actually extend its own range too, because if you select target fire, the grenades will actually bounce off the ground and go a little bit further. I like it because it means there's a little bit of micro potential, but it also makes it a little bit frustrating to play against because it'd be a little unpredictable where exactly the enemy can hit you from, which is, yeah, not ideal. One of those things about a fair RTS is you should be able to know exactly where the enemy can hit you from. There shouldn't be any shenanigans like that. That just feels like a glitch when you're playing against it. Very similar to the way that torpedo launchers and their coastal defenses will target boats sometimes out of range and still be able to hit them because of the way that the torpedo tracking is so aggressive. Doesn't feel great to play against. Hey, look at that. We got the spammy missile rocket bot, the salvo rocket bot. That's what it's called, the Thanatos. Firing away a big volley of rockets out into the distance. Hey, nice. We killed a radar tower, or not radar tower, radar bot right there, which is really cool. Killing that bot obviously gives you a huge advantage. Ooh, yeah, Thanatos. Loads of impulse on those rockets too. Not something I had realized, but yeah, the impulse is actually quite nice. Knocks around those units and makes it a little harder for them to escape. Obviously makes this salvo a little easier to land the next time. And there we go. Radar jammer is destroyed as well, so all of a sudden this Thanatos is going to have a great time. Well, if we get radar, there we go. Radar is up and running again, so now this Thanatos can continue to fire away. I love this thing. It is sort of a mix between an Arbiter and a Sheldon. It's very cool in that sense. Gives you a lot of flexibility on the front line, and once you have a couple of them, that salvo can really start to pack a punch. Couple of these hoplites on the front lines here. They're good. They're not necessarily a frontline skirmisher unit. They are tanky enough that you can sort of use them that way, but mostly they're going to be used as a kind of an assault unit. They're meant to break the front line, get through to the back line, and do a bunch of damage. We have the Cyan Commander, by the way, still on T1, but I think we're just about to step into T2. We do have a single energy bank, but at this point I wouldn't mind seeing 3 or 4 of them. Typically, if you're not producing energy structures, you want to be building those batteries so you're saving up energy. Loads of T1 rocket bots coming out right now from the Lavender Commander. Pardon me, the Seafoam Green Commander. Brightworks learns colors. 2.5 years into casting Beyond All Reason, and I finally learned my colors. Probably not. Probably won't be the last time. Definitely isn't the first. Massive Blitz army here. We really need to go. I think there's more than enough blitzes to overwhelm this defense, and with these tanks out of position, or they were slightly out of position there, it might have been the only opportunity here before these medium tanks are going to take a decent trade. Flame turret will stay up and running. Okay, that's quite nice. Yeah, we really don't want to be pushing into these tanks either. Decurion armored assault tanks are extremely heavily armored for a T1 tank, even more so than medium tanks. They're considered a step above medium, but not quite heavy. They're kind of like an advanced medium tank, I guess you might call it. They're expensive, but also have tons of HP, so they trade pretty well against those lighter tanks, blitzes and incisors, all that sort of stuff. 3 Thanatos out and available at this point, so they are firing away into the distance, kind of targeting the ground right now. But eventually, once those Thanatos find a better target, like the Jammer Tower, for instance, yeah, they're going to be feeling pretty good about it. I love the Thanatos spam here. I mean, obviously, we don't want to make the composition entirely Thanatos. The shotgunners in the mix here as well, the Phalanx, very useful as well, just for dealing a bunch of AoE damage and knocking units around, stunning them quite nicely. Anti-air also super important here. Hopefully we throw in a couple of anti-air bots. There is the T1 anti-air bot out of the T1 laboratory. We have not quite gotten our T2 anti-air bot from the T2 Legion bot lab here, but it won't be long now. With how impressive the push has been to finish off a bunch of these units here from the Legion lab, I wouldn't be surprised if we see those bots relatively shortly here. Still, the Manticore not a bad option, especially against lighter targets like those Shuriken and whatnot. Man, I love these salvo bots. Oh, it's been a while since I've gotten a good opportunity to actually look at these salvo bots firing away right here. But you can see they do wonderfully against Sheldon. Man, every single time that Legion gets a new unit, it feels like it's the perfect counter to Cortex strategies. In the same way that a lot of Cortex stuff seems to counter Armada stuff, and Armada has a lot of tools that can very nicely shut down Legion. We've sort of established ourselves, or maybe not established, but we've moved towards a more three-way balanced position here, which is really cool. In my opinion, keeps the game much more fresh, because suddenly you don't have this like mirror matchup. You actually have these nuances between the races, and it means you have to work with your team a little bit better. I know. Those antisocial commanders are going to be having a rough day today, but I said what I said. The blue commander has broken the base with loads and loads of those Sheldon going down here with the explosion of the geothermal, with the hoplites running right on past it into the backline, and with those Thanatos firing away their salvos. Tons and tons of value right here. Man, 24 kills between all of these Thanatos, and frankly speaking, probably credited with a whole lot less than they actually really deserve for how much damage they did to all these units in the backline. We need to be careful not to overextend with them, though. They're so valuable, but only because they've been firing away for so long without dying. If we start to lose them, it's going to look pretty rough. At the very least, these phalanx should keep them safe from assault units like the Fiends here. Not an accurate unit, I will say. The Thanatos definitely struggle hitting their targets. But if their target is big enough and or stationary enough, they do seem to get the job done. Yeah, a little frustrating watching them take out this twin guard here. But eventually they will manage to do it. Taking out the laboratory here, a much better option. Okay. Just like that, the tank commander is wiped off the face of the earth. It's now up to the red commander to get this back up and running. Already having lost so many of those units, and with, the res bots eating all the metal up here, an excellent advantage for the blue commander. Obviously going to be a huge difference maker, eating up all this metal versus letting it get reclaimed right here by the red team. Yeah, I mean, we could send all the Fiends in the world in to try and kill all this, but those shotgunners just impulse them all to death immediately. Well, not immediately, I should say. The phalanx don't actually do very much damage. Their impulse is really kind of their main thing. You can see here against this commander, they don't even really do very much damage. Thanatos, though, oh my goodness, the Thanatos almost immediately blasting down that commander. There's a certain amount of flanking damage they get as well, because their rockets are kind of inaccurate. Some of them will land past the enemy, but the splash damage will trigger that flanking effect. One of those interesting little niche things about Beyond All Reason that, frankly speaking, I guess is not very common knowledge, is that flanking damage is a thing. Your units will do more damage if they're shooting at a single unit from multiple angles here. Maybe not entirely obvious at first glance, but it is a factor to consider in Beyond All Reason. That's why the shape of your engagement matters a whole lot. You're rewarded heavily for concaves, much more so than convexes. That's this shape going this direction rather than this shape going this direction. This is the good one. This is the bad one. Try to avoid this if ever you can. Anywho. The amount of commanders that I'll watch take their units and then just click them into a single spot. All of a sudden all their units are grouped up in a single spot, and then they spread them out on a line, but because the way they drag their mouse, they end up spreading their units out on a convex rather than a concave. Yeah, it hurts. It hurts to see, for sure. Looks like a Manticore was thrown into the mix. Actually, it was resurrected. Oh, that's nice. Okay. Even better efficiency right there. I mean, sure. Pick up your enemy's anti-air and use that instead. Why not? Manticore will, alongside the fighters, be able to clear out those gunships. Those, they're called heavy transports, but I would call them heavy gunships and also transports. They have quite a lot of HP. They can technically fire their shotguns at planes, too, which is kind of fun. But they are, frankly speaking, not nearly enough to clean up this push right here. Yeah, Thanatos have broken the backline. Maroon Commander is falling, and this is looking like an overwhelming, creeping push here for the victory for the blue team. Resign vote is called right here by the Maroon Commander, who still does have the metal extractor, 40 metal per second. A 2-to-1 ratio of metal to energy is unheard of and Beyond All Reason. That's a new record, certainly. Not new to Rosetta, obviously, but it is definitely rare that you get that much value out of any economy structure in this game. Oh, Witcher in position. Nice D-guns right there, mauling apart these units with the D-gun. Oh my goodness, the entire composition goes down. Doesn't even really matter at this point in the game, hardly. But still, losing that much value in tanks, that was easily 2,000 or 3,000 metal worth of tanks, and losing it all for basically nothing. I mean, it hurts to see. It really hurts to see. Painful to imagine what 3,000 extra metal worth of units on the front line might have looked like if they had been T2, you know, or maybe 3,000 metal worth of economy. That's nearly a fusion reactor, which gives you about 16 metal per second if you convert all the energy to metal. T2 Air Lab has gone down, by the way. Nisha L. Ground Commander does lose it. Looks like the Thanatos will finally be killed, but my goodness, have they found their value. 750 metal per Thanatos, and well worth every penny the Blue Commander has paid for them. They have far and away outperformed themselves, I want to say. Resbots here resurrecting a whole bunch of this as well, which is always very cute. More and more Thanatos firing away. Man, I've probably said Thanatos 100 times this cast, and I probably will say it 100 times more, because this bot has impressed me this game. Sometimes when Legion gets new stuff, I don't really get a chance to play with it before I get a chance to cast it. This is one such case. And the Thanatos has really knocked my socks off. Boom goes the AGO right there for the red team. Dangus in a whole bunch of trouble now as the Thanatos fire forward as well. They do eventually get cleaned up by the Fiends, but what a monumental effort this has been to shut down this push here. Shotgunner loses its shield and takes a whole bunch more damage. I believe, I could be wrong, and somebody might correct me in the comments if that's the case. Likely that's how this goes, but usually that's how this goes. The Phalanx, I believe, have, I want to say it's something around 2,000% HP when their shield is up and running. So in other words, they take giga damage when their shield is down. But it does make me curious if one of these takes a bunch of damage, is repaired slightly, and then regenerates their shield. Does it mean that the healing is multiplied by 20,000? Also, if their shield is down and they gain XP, and then because when you gain XP, when any unit gains XP and beyond a reason, they gain a little bit of health, and then they gain their shield back. Do they gain that XP? Do they gain that HP permanently, or is it like a multiplicative effect? After playing a bunch of Noita, my brain has been conditioned to think this way. Anybody in the know will know exactly what I'm talking about, and anybody not in the know, go give it a check out. Noita, not exactly like a small indie game at this point. It's been fairly successful, I think. But definitely a fun one if you're into the roguelike kind of style of game. Mauser, you're shelling away at the agitator. The salvo bots firing away over here as well, just coating the ground in missiles and mayhem. Mauser doing their best to blast all those to smithereens, though. Those Thanatos are cool. They're almost, you know what they are? I know exactly what they are. They're a perfect blend between a Tremor and an Arbiter. That's what they are. Fires a big salvo that covers a giant area, but also fires missiles that do a ton of damage. Yeah, they're with those kind of, they're not like hierarchy missiles either, is kind of the weird thing. But they do so much work. Yeah, look at that. The impulse on them also very Tremor-like, I would say. That's an incinerator firing its heat beam. The subtle wub 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 noise that you heard off into the bottom left part of your ear was the incinerator firing its ultra heavy heat cannon. Barely mobile heat ray incinerator. It is a dangerous weapon to include in your composition, but when used well can be very, very dangerous against a heavily armored unit. Oh, and this is why they tend to friendly fire a lot. Yeah, they have a hard time turning their beam off once it's charged up. They sort of have to displace the energy, otherwise they explode. So it means that even if friendly units walk in front of the heat ray beam, there's nothing they can do. We have some bombers moving in here. Bombs away on top of the middle of the base right here for the Orange Commander. Honestly, not tremendous targets. We have a fusion reactor or two, and those are going to be ideal. But after that, kind of no big explosive target. But the fusion will go down. Looks like AA is up and running, and some fighters are falling here as well as the bombers. Bombs away on some of the build powers. Quite nice, but I'd love to see this taken out as well. These E-converters are a primary target. Ooh, oh, he missed. He re-microed the bomber, and it did kill it. Unfortunate. Still not a terrible bombing run. Shutting down the Orange Commander is obviously nice. Helps out quite a lot. Sharpshooters and welders moving forward on the southern side for the Green Commander. A nice army in the midsection here, but it's just fighting too much. There's just too many people. We have 3 different commanders fighting in the midsection here versus the 1 yellow commander. And it's just marching in a wall. This is beautiful. This is beautiful Legion gaming right here as those Thanatos fire away into the distance. I love it. That's the LRPC firing, by the way, right there. You saw the explosive cluster munitions firing into the distance. That's the Legion triple-barreled LRPC. Very effective at clearing away lighter units, things that take up a lot of area on the map. Wind turbines, build power, E-converters, that kind of thing. Not as great against static defense targets. Some anti-air flying overhead, by the way, over here. AA turret will be in place to shuttle that down, but now the march of the Phalanx has begun. These Thanatos are insane value. The grand 51 kills between all of these and 1 wheelie. I'm not sure what the wheelie is, but anyways. 1 wheelie and 1 goblin. There we go. 52 kills. They gained kills after I deselected units. Yep, there we go. Geothermal will be the next target right here as these guys fire away their swaths of missiles. Again, very inaccurate, but very cool to see. Phalanx with so much HP, they don't really care about taking damage here either. They just kind of brush it off. Geothermal remains standing by a Festivus miracle. There it goes. Finally falls. Phalanx are moving in towards the red position. Bulwark is being set up here, but it looks like with the damage that's been done, with the economy that's been produced, and with the units... Oh, it wasn't an LRPC. It was a Astreus, by the way. Worth correcting that. The blue team will be victorious in this game. It's barrels. It's multi quad barrel there, retracting into its head as the blue team managed to finish off this match. Thanks a ton for watching if you made it this far, and I sure hope you enjoyed. And if you did, please feel free, of course, as always, to join the Brightworks community by clicking that link that takes you to the Discord down below. There is also a brand new cinematic trailer that was released by the Beyond All Reason official team that I would definitely recommend you take a look at. Other than that, though, I hope you had a fabulous time. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you again in the very next cast of Beyond All Reason. Peace out, folks.